This question comes to us from the AskProfWolff page on rdwolff.com. That's rdwolff with two F's.com. And in particular, today's question comes to us from Noah Dunn. His question, like others who have sent me similar questions, has to do with the labor theory of value, something associated particularly with Karl Marx's economics. Although if you actually study the labor theory of value, you will discover that Adam Smith and David Ricardo, usually considered the fathers of modern non-Marxian economics, were actually proponents of a labor theory of value. So associating with Marx is a bit mistaken. Even more mistaken is the dismissal of this idea because it is misunderstood. Here's what I mean. The labor theory of value is not a theory of the prices of things. The prices of things depends on what's going on among the people wanting to buy it and what's going on among the people wanting to sell it. There's a negotiation that goes on, and the price goes up and down depending on how many people are buying and selling and how urgently they want to buy or sell the particular good. Marx was never so silly or simple-minded as to suggest that the price of something being affected by buyers and sellers would necessarily be accounted for by the amount of labor that went in it. So what does the labor theory of value tell us? Well, first, notice something. It's not the labor theory of price. It's the labor theory of something else. So we have to understand what is value. And here's what Marx meant. In every society in the history of the human race, that society could only survive if it produced the goods and services without which life isn't possible. The food, the clothing, the shelter, the things we need. So in every society, you have to allocate, you have to assign the people who can do the work to make the clothing, the food, the shelter that the community needs. Somehow that has to be worked out. Maybe a chief will tell this one you make bread, this one you make shirts, and so on. Or maybe a council will, or maybe it'll happen in the market. There's lots of ways it can happen, but it has to happen. And Marx was very interested in understanding how the labor gets organized in a society. So the labor theory of value was to say, let's look at commodities, things that are produced that we all need, by focusing on the labor in them, because that will tell us something about a society. So let me conclude by focusing in on what Marx thought labor would teach us. And here's the answer. In a society, the labor that gets done to produce everything has an interesting quality. The labor that's done produces more than is given to the people, the laborers, who are doing the work. In other words, laborers always produce a surplus of goods and services beyond what they get. And the interesting question is, who gets that surplus? In slavery, the workers are slaves and the master gets it. In feudalism, the workers are serfs and the lord gets it. And in capitalism, the workers are employees and the employer gets it. The labor theory of value looks at labor because it sees in this arrangement, who produces the surplus and who gets it, a key to what's wrong with society and how it needs to be fixed. It's a completely different question for conventional economics. They're not interested in surpluses. They're not much interested in labor. They are interested in the prices of things, why they bounce up and down. Very nice. I can see their interest, but it's not my interest because I'm trying to understand what makes a society work well or not. When do you need social change? For that, the labor theory of value is very helpful, and the theory of price of conventional economics, not so much.